Hey, what's going on there, Strength Family? Today we're going to do something a little different. Today is going to be supplements. Now, there's so many people that are doing so many different things with supplements, but like in the thumbnail, like in the title, what I'm doing is an entry level to supplements. Let's just say you're trying to do this on a budget, right? And there's just so many different variations and which way do I go and what do I get and why, all this stuff. Well, I want to break it down to you. This is my basic thing that I take for me and the family when we're lifting. And yes, there's going to be other supplements that are beneficial, but let's just say, again, this is on a budget. So these are the basic things that you're going to need to be able to take your workouts, take your gains, and all that to the next level. Now, what is it that I'm talking about? Now, again, budget here. So, a lot of this stuff, and some people will frown upon it. Oh man, Amazon, this and this and this. Some of the stuff is what we get on Amazon, and it's looking up basic things. Now, I'm going to run you through it. This is what we're taking: nitric oxide, BCAAs, and of course, your creatine. Now, there's two more in here that I take that are these three basics that I'm telling you: your BCAAs, your creatine, your nitric oxide. Those are what I would consider your entry level to be able to start doing this. Why? Okay, let's break it down. If you have not seen the stuff on creatine, I don't know what rock you live underneath, because this is probably the one thing that everybody is, oh, you gotta have this, you gotta have this. Okay, here's the thing. You gotta think of creatine is in the sense of it's going to help. If you think of your muscles like they're sponges, all right, there's absorption. Well, we want to be able to absorb the nutrition and the nutrients and everything that we're putting into our bodies, all the little supplements and everything that we're putting into our bodies. Creatine on its own will take whatever molecule it is, will take its own in its weight, its own number two molecule in water. So that's why when people start taking creatine, they're like, oh man, I start to swell up a little bit. The muscles look a little bit fuller, things like that. Well, you're bringing in the water. Now, keep in mind, when you do this, it's not like it just keeps going. When people go, oh, if I take creatine, I start getting really big and fat and this and this and this. Imagine being able to take that sponge, and that sponge is only going to suck up so much water before it just doesn't hold it anymore, and then it just rains it out, right? Well, that raining it out portion of it is it going into your kidneys, and then you're literally just peeing out money. So where sometimes it's, oh, I take 5, I take 10, I take this, I take this. You got to remember, it also depends on how much proteins you're eating, how much red meat you're eating, because like, let's say it's a steak, there is a lot of creatine in a steak. So at that point, you might be a 230-pound guy and you need to take, well, I got to take 10 grams of protein. Well, I'm sorry, 10 grams of creatine. Well, at that point, you might not need to. And also keep this in mind, if you take too much creatine, it does start to damage the kidneys. You got to worry about things like that. That's where blood work comes into play. We'll get into blood work later, but if you're not doing blood work at least once a year, you might want to look into that. So creatine is going to help in that sense of being able to inflate the muscle like a sponge, and it's going to allow it to absorb and have more water in it. Now, here's one of the other kickers that people also neglect is salt. Table salt, ionized salt. Having that, well, what's it do? What does salt do? Okay, it's the same absorption in that sense. It retains water. Okay, well then why do marathon runners have little salt tablets and all that? Cramping. They want to be able to make sure that the muscles aren't completely deflated and they're still usable and working correctly. So, excuse me. So we want to introduce salt as well, and like ionized salt. We do a little bit of like maybe Himalayan salt, but I use more iodine salt than anything else when I'm making my meals. So creatine is important in that sense of that absorption and helping pull those nutrients in. It's also going to help you with the cramping. Why? Well, we're adding more water into the muscles, and it's going to help with that recovery portion. Why? Well, we're getting more of it into the muscle. So now, let's say we're moving on to your nitric oxide. Now, this works in multiple ways. What do I mean by that? All right. Let's say, we'll go to this one as well. If you're somebody who has high blood pressure, this is going to help you. How? Okay. Nitric oxide helps open up your blood capillaries, arteries, things like that. So imagine this. Imagine you have a 60 psi, 60 pounds of pressure through something the size of your pinky. Take that same pressure, because it's coming from the heart, that same amount of pressure, and you put it towards your thumb, put it through your thumb. So you go from, say, 3/8 to 5/8 of an inch. What's going to happen in that? Okay, well, it's the same as take a garden hose, put your thumb over the end, restrict it, and then let it go. The pressure's going to lower. So at that point, with people that have, they're in the beginning stages of like hypertension, things like that, it's like, guys, this is not the cure for it, but it does help with high blood pressure because it's going to help lower that blood pressure. Now, again, opening up more of the capillaries, veins, arteries, all of that starts to expand a little bit, and it allows that. That's why when people talk about, I get more vascular when I start taking like nitric oxide and stuff like that. Well, yeah, that's the reason why. Now, let's say you add in your creatine, right? And then all of a sudden we add in the nitric oxide. Well, the nitric oxide is going to allow the capillaries and everything else to increase in size. You're going to be able to allow it to absorb more water. Well, then at that point, if you're taking your proteins throughout the day, then that means that your proteins and all that will be absorbed inside the muscles even better. So think of it like a balloon, and you're inflating that balloon. It's going to get more air in there. It's going to get more absorption in there. So that's expanding, allowing more of the nutrients and everything that you're taking to get in. So that's where the protein starts coming into play, but you want to make sure that you're getting into that route. So here's the other kicker of it. If you just sit there and you just down water, well, if I just drink a whole bunch of water, wouldn't that do the same effect that all this is doing? No, because if you don't have the keys to unlock that absorption and unlock everything inside the muscles to be able to get used, and what I mean by unlock, your BCAAs, your branched chain amino acids, this is fuel for the muscle. All right, this here is part of recovery. When you introduce that, now we just added more water. If you think about it, we just allowed that sponge to increase. We added more fluid into the muscle. We expand the capillaries, we expand arteries, things like that, to allow even more into the game. Now, it's not like you guys are getting a whole lot more, but it is an increase, okay? Now, this is going to help with fuel for the muscles. Well, what about protein? Protein's fuel for the muscles. Yes, it is. Branched chain aminos, think of it like the key that unlocks the door to your muscles to allow all the absorption of the proteins, the fats, the nutrients, part of all your recovery. This is what branched chain aminos are going to do. They're going to allow that to happen. They're going to allow that absorption to happen. It's not like, well, I can just, again, drink a whole bunch of water, take a bunch of, BCAAs, and I'm get the same effect. No, you won't, okay? So this right here is a very basic one. Now, on top of it, remember when I was talking about salts? This is what we're going to end up hitting on. Oh, we got Daisy. We got the boy. We're going through some nutrition. So,
what I got in a nutrition lecture.
oh, okay. So, anyways, so now the salt portion of this, when I ended up talking about absorption, well, this is going to be all your electrolytes, everything you need to help kind of get the body back into the game again. Like I said, we'll go to that marathon runner. Why do they sit there and they take the salt packets and all that when they're going nuts? Well, they're secreting so much water and just literally just kind of killing themselves. They got to be able to put it back in, right? That's where these are going to come into play. If you're somebody who's more carnivore-ish than vegan and you're not really going crazy on carbohydrates and things like that, well, then you're not really going through so much and getting the right salts into the body. So when you're sitting there and you're putting in protein and you're putting in all the nutrients and supplements and all that stuff, well, what's going on is you're not getting the proper absorption. You're literally just going to pee and get rid of everything else, shall we say. So we need to inflate those muscles. We need to get everything to be able to absorb. So this comes into play too, again, if you're more on that carnivore type of side. So these come into play. Lastly is going to be recovery. And at that point, we get this through Undefined Nutrition, and we found out as your recovery, this is Brian Shaw's stuff. This works great. This works great. I mean, it's not like it's a miracle drug in that sense, but I've noticed my recovery's been way better. My fatigue in the muscles has improved. How long it takes from day to day to move into the next thing and recover from that hard workout. This has helped. It took me about a bottle. And then after that, it was like, is this placebo or is this actually working? And then after the next bottle, it was like, this is starting to work. And then moved on from there, and this stuff is big time gain. But again, this is just moving up. Now, this is everything that I take, that we, the family, take. And yes, there's more that you could get into, but this is a good basic regimen. Now, for you guys that are looking just for that starting off, it's these 3 basics. You can literally get them through Amazon. Are they the best of the best? No, they're not. I got William behind you guys sitting here trying to make goofy faces. And could you make do with this stuff? Absolutely. Is there better stuff out there? Absolutely. But again, if you're looking at just trying to be on a budget, this is going to get you through. So it's going to be your creatine. And again, when you're looking at this, plain and simple, other ingredients, there are none. It's just straight creatine monohydrate. I mean, it's as straight as it gets. And this stuff, I mean, you might spend, what is this, 25, 28 bucks, something like that, for this big old container.
I think probably 30.
Yeah, so it might even be 30 bucks. But looking at other people's creatine, you're going to spend double that.
Well, light for a kilo.
Yeah, but why spend that much money when, as like I said, this is creatine monohydrate. It's exactly what everybody else sells. It's just not in a shiny little package. Ooh. So at that point, your nitric oxide. Again, explain what this does, why we take it, and why we should use it. And again, at that point, it's cheaper. So let's just say you want to do, this should last you, oh gosh. I mean, this isn't like 1 month. This is months of stuff. I mean, you're talking, this is like probably 2 months worth of stuff. And at that point, you're under like $100, easily under $100 for this stuff. This I believe is around 25 to 30. I think the nitric oxide I think is like 20. And don't shoot me if I'm wrong on my figures. I think BCAs are maybe around 20 to 30. So at that point, there's 60, 70, 80 bucks. You're done. At that point, you're less than $100 invested. Is there better stuff out there, more pure and more organic and all that? Yes, there's probably going to be better stuff out there. But keep in mind, you're also paying for, the person that's selling it, whatever big bodybuilder is out there selling it. And, don't get caught up in so much of the hype. Check your labels and make sure there isn't all kinds of added fillers and garbage in it. But you'll get away with this and be okay. Now, this again is just on a straight up budget. You're just looking to start getting into your supplement world. This will get you. If you want to add a little something in, like I said, Relight, great stuff. There is magnesium in it, so be forewarned. If you drink too much of it, it'll do its job. So at that point, and then I would say this is probably one of the most expensive out of the bunch for what we get. But this recovery is awesome. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. But if you can't afford it, these are your basics. BCAAs, nitric oxide, your creatine. All right? So I'm sure I covered enough of this stuff. If you guys got any questions on any more of this, hit me down in the comments. Let me know. We can go through some more of this. If you have any more questions on how are things working, what should I take, this is going to be kind of pre-workout, and this is going to be post-workout. Honestly, I take the 3 of these. I take them about 45 minutes before I get ready to do my workout. Creatine, you can take it anytime. It's going to absorb in the body, and it's not like, oh, it just leaves you. You could literally take creatine in the morning. It's going to be in your body for the whole day if you want it to be. The nitric oxide and the BCAAs. But like I said, just of what I do is 45 minutes to an hour before I do my stuff, and it works. works out good. You know, the nitric oxide, you'll notice, you know, better pump. The pump. You'll notice a little bit better there, and it's not going to be a miracle like in a week or two, all of a sudden, everything starts getting better. Like with the creatine, how things have to work into the body. Your body's got to slowly start retaining that water and all that. You'll start noticing probably within, I would say, that first month, which is nice because you should have here at least about 2 months worth of a supply. So at that point, you should start to notice things, realize that, hey, it's outside that placebo effect, and you should start making some of those gains. So I hope you guys are having fun on your journey out there and slowly improving. Stay strong, my friends, and we will be at you guys with another episode. So adios, take care. Don't forget, share, like, subscribe, and we will catch you guys on another one of those episodes. See ya.